ABC 24/7, I'm Rachel Smith. Well, Hollywood has just written its biggest plot twist in more than half a century. The union, representing 160,000 actors, voted Thursday to go on strike. Now, it's the first time since 1960 that both actors and writers have been on strike at the same time. Emily Schmidt has more on what this means for your screens moving forward.
Just as Hollywood started a summer of fantasy, a strike proving movie making is real business.
Hollywood is coming to a complete stop.
SAG-AFTRA, which represents about 160,000 actors.
We are the victims here. We are being victimized by a very greedy entity.
Said they had no choice but to strike after 4 weeks of talks fell through, especially on key points like streaming platforms and AI technology.
You cannot change the business model as much as it has changed and not expect the contract to change too.
In an interview before the strike, Disney CEO Bob Iger disputed their argument.
There's a level of expectation that they have that is just not realistic.
The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers said the union turned its back on a substantial offer and chose a path that will, quote, lead to financial hardship for countless thousands of people who depend on the industry. 11,000 members of the Writers Guild Association have already been walking the picket line for 2 months. The Milken Institute estimates the dual strikes could cause at least $4 billion in global damage. One immediate impact, a senior editor of Variety says, happened as a movie premiere in Europe learned of the Hollywood strike.
As we speak, there is a premiere in London going on of Oppenheimer, and the cast has left the premiere.
A stark Hollywood ending until negotiations begin again. I'm Emily Schmidt, reporting.
The House has passed a sweeping defense policy bill. The bill sets the policy agenda and authorizes funding for the Department of Defense. It was a fight to the finish after contentious debate and the adoption of controversial amendments. One of them was related to the abortion policy and transgender healthcare access. During a heated moment on the House floor on Thursday night, Republican Representative Eli Crane said something offensive that Representative Joyce Beatty immediately moved to have stricken from the record.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment.
Crane was looking to add an amendment to the bill that would prohibit the Defense Department from requiring certain diversity, equity, and inclusion training. Beatty is an Ohio Democrat and former chair of the Congressional Black Caucus, and she called Crane's words offensive.
To have the words colored people.
For what purposes generally seek recognition?
I'd like to be recognized to have the words colored people stricken from the record. I find it offensive and very inappropriate.
Crane's words were removed by unanimous consent. When asked for a comment about his choice of words, Crane said that he misspoke. South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace is urging the GOP to stop targeting women. Mace was critical of an amendment to the defense spending bill that would prohibit the military from paying for travel or other expenses related to abortions. That said, she did vote in support of the measure, but is calling out the GOP for the party's treatment of women.
If we want to show America that we can come together and that we care about women, we got to stop being to women. We got to stop targeting women and do the things that make a real difference. I'm frustrated as a woman, as a suburban woman, as a girl mom, that we need to show compassion and we're just not doing it.
The measure still needs approval in the democratically controlled Senate. Well, Democrats are calling on the Federal Election Commission to crack down on the use of artificial intelligence used in political ads. They want the agency's existing law against fraudulent misrepresentation to also include so-called deep fakes. Now, just last month, a political ad put out by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' campaign included a deepfake image of former President Donald Trump hugging Dr. Anthony Fauci. For California voters, the same-sex marriage ban will once again be on the ballot in 2024. The state Senate passed a proposed constitutional amendment that would repeal Proposition 8. Voters previously approved the measure in 2008, which bans the state from recognizing same-sex marriage. A federal appeals court later ruled that Proposition 8 was unconstitutional. Well, the Biden administration has announced $39 billion in student debt relief. Under the new plan, 804,000 borrowers will have the student debt, all of it wiped away. Now, it's due to administrative fixes that more accurately count qualified monthly payments. After reaching a set forgiveness threshold of 20 or 25 years, a borrower's remaining balance is then wiped away. Meantime, student loan repayments resume in October after a years-long pause during the pandemic. Karen Kefa is in Washington with a look at the economic impact and options for borrowers.
Lots of borrowers were waiting on the U.S. Supreme Court to make a decision on the Biden administration's plan that would have forgiven up to $20,000 in student debt for some. But with the court striking down that plan 2 weeks ago, a big change is on deck this fall. After a 3-year pandemic pause, federal student loan interest will begin to accrue again in September and payments will resume in October. A recent study by Moody's Analytics found as many as 5 million student loan borrowers will need to resume average payments of close to $275 per month and warned of an economic slowdown as borrowers shift budget priorities. Other economists, like John Diamond of Rice University's Baker Institute Center for Public Finance, say the dialing back of consumer spending will help further ease inflation.
I think at the end of the day, whatever positive effect we would have seen from increased consumption would have been offset by the Fed raising rates a little more than they would have to otherwise.
During the shift, Diana Furchtgott-Roth, former chief economist at the Labor Department during the George W. Bush administration, says borrowers have a strong job market on their side.
It's a great time to be looking for a job. Yes, they have to repay their student loans, but on the other hand, there are all these jobs available, both in the public and in the private sector.
The Biden administration has rolled out new options for borrowers ahead of fall repayments. Some will be eligible for a new income-driven repayment plan that could lower monthly bills and reduce the overall amount paid back over the lifetime of a loan. For those meeting certain income thresholds, monthly payments could be as low as $0. Some parts of the program take effect this summer, others in July 2024. And federal student loan borrowers can go to studentaid.gov to see if they are already enrolled in a repayment plan, if they need to change that repayment plan, or if they need to apply. In Washington, I'm Karen Kefa.
Well, the value of office space is plummeting because of the rise of all the remote work. The McKinsey Global Institute predicts they'll see an $800 billion decrease in the worth of office buildings by 2030 as vacancies rise and rents decline. It says 2/3 of workers now have remote or hybrid positions. The study focused on 9 cities, including New York, San Francisco, and Houston. Well, thanks so much for being with us for AC 24/7. For more, go to theadvocatechannel.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. For the Advocate Channel today, I'm Rachel Smith. Have a good rest of your day and take care.